Thank you for being here today. Each of you individually have helped my mom get through this situation, and for that, be forever grateful. Know that each of you has played a part in the recovery process, and for that, our family extends a great thank you. What an awesome day. Really, what an awesome day. You know, there's obviously tears, but what an awesome day that we celebrate a servant of God, a tremendous, what a tremendous man. What a tremendous father, somebody who served his country, who served his fellow man, and most importantly, worked as hard as he could to serve his Lord. His faith in God was astounding, and those of you that saw him in the end of his life never complained, always showed grace, compassion for other people. I remember not long after he had got diagnosed, we were watching TV and a St. Jude's commercial came on and he started to cry. And you know, St. Jude's obviously is about children. And I said, what do you got going? And he just said, at least I had a full life. At least I had an opportunity. Just the mindset that he was diagnosed with cancer, coming to the end of his time, and his thoughts were about other people, never about himself. I never heard him complain about his diagnosis, about his end time, never once. In my whole entire life, I never heard him complain about anything at all. And that was intentional. He wanted to make sure the way that he was for his wife and the way that he was for his children was always with a positive attitude. Yes, we're sad that he will not be able to share the future things to come, but obviously for us that is selfish because he has received his ultimate reward. And we take great refuge in that, and we know that for those of us that believe in God and are saved, we will see him again. Some people I hear say, oh, you know, it's too bad he never got to enjoy his retirement years. Oh, but he is. He is. 40 years with the railroad, 2 years into retirement, and obviously he moves on. What a glorious thing, in all honesty. We're selfish because he's not here, but there's no bigger reward. He's enjoying his retirement right where he should be. The simple definition of a stepfather is someone who marries your mother. To us kids, he was so much more. He was so much more. He was a loving father, a devoted husband, and a great example of a God-fearing man. In our case, a stepfather would be defined as a man who shows you how a husband should treat his wife, how a father should treat his kids, and how we should work to serve other people. It's a real man that can take somebody else's children and raise them as his own. He put his children ahead of himself. He put his wife ahead of himself. He showed us how to work hard to take care of the things that we had, and that the important things are not the things in life, but the people in life and the relationships that we build. Most importantly, he taught us how to love God. He taught us about salvation, and he directed our footsteps towards that gift of salvation. People say, we're sorry for your loss. And I spoke about this a little bit at the first service. The definition of lost is unable to be found. We know where he is. We know exactly where he is. He is not lost. To be lost is to not know where you are or how to get where you want to go. Fortunately, one of the best things that he did as a father, and if you think about it in the terms of steps, as a stepfather, he laid steps for his children to follow. How to be a godly husband, how to be a godly man, how to be a great father. Most of the time, the only thing that we ever recognize about trains is when we get to a track and we have to stop. And we have to wait for it, right? We get there, oh, here we go again. One of the things that Dave shared with me when I was a young kid, and something that I treasure every time we get to a train track, is instead of complaining, for every car that passes, we take a grateful train. So what that means is for every car that passes, we say something that we're grateful for. It's kind of changed me in ways. Instead of complaining with every passing car, I think of somebody or something that God has placed in my life that I'm grateful for. And that was Dave. Always with a positive outcome. Always through the eyes of faith. Never complained and always humble. I will share this passage on the day that he died. This was in my daily devotional. Proverbs 17:22. A cheerful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. So fitting for Dave. So fitting. He was good medicine for all of us around him. He gained our trust and our love and our sincerity. He was a tremendous man. And most of all, he was a great example. He was a great example. We all get lost at times in life. We all stray from God's path. Sometimes we don't know where to go or what to do. All we have to do is look for his steps and to look for his tracks. And we know that those tracks will lead us right back to God and God's salvation every single time. Good can always come out of bad if we choose to see it through the eyes of faith. That's one example of something that I learned from Dave and watching him at his end of life. Good can always come out of bad if we choose to see it through the eyes of faith. Some of you know I coach college baseball for a living and spent some time in Kentucky. And one of the things that we did there is we did a Thanksgiving deal where we turned out the lights and we lit a candle. And you grab a baseball and you say what you're thankful for. And we just kind of go around the room. And one of the lessons that we learned with each other is that a good man can cut darkness. Sometimes we live in a very dark world. But a good, godly man can be a light for all to see. Can light your path when you're lost. We all know the song, right? My little light, let it shine. Dave was a lighthouse. He was a beacon. And he lived out loud. I'm thankful that family is not limited to blood. Thank you again for being here. Thank you for your time. And thank you for sharing in the life of Dave. What a tremendous man. There will be a reception at Century Hotel, right, in Hayden's Grill. We obviously invite you all to come, share and celebrate and honor Dave. Thank you for being here. Be a light as we all move forward. Thank you.
That does conclude our service here at Willamette today. I want to thank you all so much for taking the time to gather together, to be here for one another, and for entrusting him to our care.